All right, y'all, today we're going to check out, see if this boudoir photography business has BSS for its local Google search, West Pasco, Washington, or see if it has it for its city search, Tri-Cities, Washington. So we're here in the GBC universe. We're taking declining boudoir photographers to the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. As always, our North Star is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture, or that, pinned video, pinned profile, pinned post, whatever. And that's because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So if we're bringing in people from the entire intent ladder, highest intent on the left to lowest intent on the right, boudoir photographer business is rising. And if we're not doing that, boudoir photographer business is falling. Pretty simple. Over on the left here, we talk about BSS. So the videos here, it's the highest intent peeps. People search for boudoir photo shoots on Google, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. So highest intent search, closest to the money. We want to dominate that first. And over at the end, BLCS, that's our other brand, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor, where right now we only work with boudoir photographers running more than 10 grand a month in boudoir Facebook ads. So that's some other profiles out there in the universe. So BSS is boudoir search sameness. That's when a boudoir photographer has 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. So if we got 0 slots on page 1, we're hurting, we're screwed. So I mean, we're on page 2 or 3 or somewhere later. And we also know that approximately 80% of Google searches never go to page 2. They have page 1 only, they stay on page 1. So this is the bulk of people searching. The bulk of searchers, approximately 80% of all searches. So we actually want to cater this approximately 80% bulk. This is the bulk of the market. We don't care about the 20% that go to page 10. We don't care. Let's be the best in the universe at capturing these 80% that stay on page 1. So 0 slots, bad. 1 slot is bad because then, dude, we're looking the same as everyone else. We're, if we got 9 other competing boudoir photographers on our, on page 1, okay, they got 9, buyers are just clicking down, going down every, clicking every link open on, sending a message to every single person, getting a quote from everyone. And we're not standing out at all. They probably don't even reckon, they don't even remember our name. They're just clicking through all 10, us and 9 other competing boudoir photographers. So it's a diagnosis. It's the most common diagnosis actually I've seen with across all boudoir photography businesses. Also, 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google is not normal. It's not normal to have that small number of slots on Google. This is actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. These 2 deeper root causes are market saturation, which basically everyone knows about, and the false belief of page 1 equality, which basically nobody knows about. So market saturation, obviously, more boudoir photographers entering the market seemingly every week. Every time anyone gets a new iPhone, they're sending out their Google My Business profile saying they now shoot boudoir, or they're, saying, they got their website, they're competing for page 1, maybe even getting on page 1, and kicking us off, or they're getting a new camera, and now they're posting them on Facebook groups saying they also shoot boudoir. So more and more boudoir photographers are always entering the market. That's never going to change. And so that's market saturation. Everyone's used to that. COVID had a massive blast of that. People needed to earn income, couldn't work, and now actually needed to became boudoir photographers. So massive glut of boudoir photographers entered the market. The one that almost nobody knows about is the false belief of page 1 equality. So page 1 equality is basically assuming, everyone, everyone gets either 0 or 1 slots page 1 of Google. More photographers come in, they might kick me off page 1. Now I got 1 slot on page 2, but that's how it is. It is what it is. It is how it is. And hopefully maybe I get back, someone leaves, someone shuts off their website, I go back to page 1, or maybe I go on to page 3 eventually. And just kind of something people accepted. But this is a false belief. And I know that because I went from 0 out of 10 slots on page 1 to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 of Google in 10 days. So I know Google will give us as many slots on page 1 as we want to put in the effort to acquire. And so I feel like most people there's never been a word for this, the false belief, for page 1 equality. People just there's never been a word to describe it. So I feel like people haven't really thought about whether they believe in it yes or believe in it no. But people's actions have told me it seems like people just have accepted it, right? Because they never, had explicitly a word to say, oh, do I believe in that or not? So, and also this false belief of page 1 equality has been the #1 killer of boudoir photography businesses that I've ever seen. You'll get relegated to page 2, they disappear. pretty quickly after their business disappears because referrals only last for so long. You can only spend so much ad money. CAC, customer acquisition cost, always goes up over time. It's the new people that have never heard about us yet that always sustain a business. We also know that boudoir photographer with BSS is a disappearing boudoir photographer. Because we're from page 2, we already know approximately 80% of Google searches never hit in page 2. So we're disappearing, and pretty fast after that, our business will be disappearing as well from existence. And if we got one slot on page 1, well, that's the scariest number on page 1 because we are one person could kick us off to page 2 if they take our slot. And also, we look the same as the other 9. If there's other 9 slots or 9 boudoir photographers, we look the same. Nothing special. They're clicking through all the links, contacting everyone, price shopping everyone. And so it's like 0 or 1, most likely disappearing for 0 1 both, local and city search. So we got our universe building up here. Disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by the 2 horns of market saturation and the false belief of page 1 equality. But luckily, BSS, boudoir search sameness, is treated with social search saturation. So our S-cubed methodology is our proprietary solution we've created. And been mastering it, building it over about the last 7 months. And ready to bring it to market. And with S-cubed methodology, we can actually take it as many page 1 Google slots as we actually want for whichever keywords we want. Inside of Google PPC, you get 1 extra text ad. Okay, who cares? Dude, we want to hit the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10 organic slots and up, 4, 5, 6, 7. And this S-cubed methodology, it's social search saturation. So we saturate social search first. And then once we saturate social search, Google recognizes that and it flows to us saturating page 1 of Google search. So page 1 Google search is actually the byproduct of saturating social search. And this is actually this is the only thing I've seen that actually is able to successfully fight back against market saturation. So imagine we're in Topeka, Kansas, where one boudoir photographer it's 1 million total boudoir photographers competing in this city. Everyone's got their own website, everyone's ranking or trying to rank page 1 on Google. But we crank S-cubed methodology to the max. When we crank S-cubed methodology to the max, let's say we saturate social search, the first 300 slots for the highest intent keywords across all social platforms. And also, as a result, we capture the first 300 slots organic for Google. Well, there's 10 organic slots per page on Google, so that's literally the first 30 pages that we saturate. So when anyone ever looks for a boudoir photographer in our city, anywhere they look, they search on social or they search on Google, we're basically the only one that they can find, even though there are literally 999,999 other boudoir photographers. And so whose business is growing? Ours, even though our market saturation has never been higher. And our business has never been growing faster because we capture so much, search intent or so many search slots. And so again, this is the only solution that I've seen that is able to successfully fight back against market saturation. Obviously, more market saturation, the more you got to crank the S-cubed methodology. But at least we finally got something. Finally got something that gives us some hope. Now, once our BSS is treated with S-cubed methodology, we have page 1 visibility. So we kind of escape market saturation and false belief of page 1 equality, and we achieve page 1 visibility. Now, a bonus of this is we're kicking competing boudoir photographers off page 1, effectively making them invisible. So yeah, dude, every new slot we take on page 1 on Google, we're kicking a boudoir photographer out of there, relegating them to page 2 or deeper. And we already know approximately 80% of Google searches never go to page 2. That's literally 80%, the bulk of the market. It's never going to see them on Google. And same if we do, across all social search platforms. So this is a bonus of doing using the S-cubed methodology, kind of reducing the amount of boudoir photographers we're being price shopped against, or buyers even know exist. Now, page 1 visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. So we're no longer at 0 slots on page 1 or 1 slot on page 1. Technically, we can do it with two slots on page 1, but we want to get to the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10 for local search and city search. Now, boudoir search visibility, if we can get to 3, that's kind of our big hump we want to get over, because we're definitely going to stand out more than all the other boudoir photographers that have 1 slot on page 1 of Google. And there'll be times when another boudoir photographer will have 2 slots on Google, page 1 of Google. But if we got 3, we're dwarfing everyone. So we finally achieved it activates boudoir search visibility for us. And a boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility is a visible boudoir photographer. So this is our universe. we got, disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by the two horns of market saturation and the false belief of page one equality. That's fine. We got a solution now. S cubed methodology. And we achieve page one visibility. So we overcome market saturation and the false belief of page one equality. To achieve page one visibility, become visible boudoir photographers with boudoir search visibility. So I'm going to look at me using a S cubed methodology here. I want to rank for the term BLCS boudoir and come down to organic. Got Instagram slot one, me. Slot two, me. Slot three, me. Slot four, me. Slot five, me. Slot six, me. Slot seven, me. Slot eight, me. Slot 10, me. So in 10 days, I went from 0 out of 10 slots page one on Google to 9 out of 10 slots page one on Google. And again, this is the only solution I've ever seen that can successfully outcompete market saturation. And it has its own, has its own momentum to it. Where ads, if you stop signing into them, momentum instantly drops to 0. That's on Google and on Facebook. All right, so main event here. I'm going to see if this boudoir photography business has BSS for the local search and the city search, these two Google searches. All right, so let's look at West Pascal. So it's the local search. So let's see what we got. Going down to organic. So here we go. We got 1. Boom, we got 2. Let's see. Boom, we got 3. Boom, we got 4. All right, so we got 4 out of 10. Awesome. So we do not have BSS for our local search, and we do meet the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10. Good. So we've kicked off a bunch of competitors from our, from our search here. So that's local. Let's search at the city level. Same Tri-Cities, Washington. Check this out. Boom. All right, we got 1. That's a sponsored. Nice. We got 2 right there with the threads. Nice. We got 3. All right, boom. This is perfect. This is exactly what we want. So we do not have, so going back. So we do not have BSS for the local search. We do not have BSS for the city search. That's super awesome. We've hit the GBC minimum for both. So I can basically guarantee this business is not disappearing. So they're either treading water or most likely growing because they're hitting all the metrics. We got to be hitting for the highest intent people. Those are closest to the money, easiest to convert. So perfect. This is exactly what we want to see. That's what every boudoir photographer needs to get to. Well, for those that want to become the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. So if you're a disappearing boudoir photographer and you've done your local search, your city search for the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords in your city or in your area, and you've had BSS for one of them or both of them, or you did not reach the GBC recommended minimum of at least one of them, of 3 out of 10 slots page one on Google, and you're seeing the false belief of page one equality is exactly that, a false belief. So you're seeing, hey, we can actually take as many page one slots on Google as we want. And it doesn't require Google ads, which at max, so Google PPC will give 1 slot on page 1. And you stop paying for that, the momentum dies. But with this SQ methodology, there is some persistent momentum using the strategy. It's not infinite, but there's definitely way more momentum than running ads where the momentum dies instantly. So you're seeing SQ methodology is the way forward, the solution you've actually been looking for, but you didn't know existed. You're liking the initial benefits, more slots page one on Google, organic, some momentum there. You actually like even better kicking competing boudoir photographers off page one on Google, making them be the disappearing boudoir photographers. So maybe they simply leave the market and stop competing against you, and you stop getting price shopped against them. Lowering the number of peeps we're price shopped against. You understand how market saturation works. Yeah, new gear, new peeps coming in, kind of natural, trickle in. But you're also looking ahead and you're seeing, man, AI is already taking people's jobs. It's going to be taking more and more people's jobs, which is actually going to flood the market way more than people getting new gear. It's going to flood the market with peeps. Actually, people need to earn money. So they lose their job, but they still got to earn money. Way more boudoir photographers coming from AI taking peeps' jobs. And as a result, you're like, all right, you like those 2 first initial benefits, but now you need kind of a short-term or short in the future benefit. And as a result, you're looking for, you're realizing you need to kind of fortify all your slots on page 1. Actually, have so many overflowing links that Google wants to have on page 1, but you're already taking up so many slots on page 1, Google literally cannot place them there. Like so many backup links, kind of like fortifying the levees down in Nolens, Louisiana, because that city's below sea level. And literally prevent current boudoir photographers from ever ranking on page 1 and also hopefully preventing any future boudoir photographers that come from AI taking their jobs from ever ranking page 1 on Google. Keep them on page 2 or deeper, relegate them to perpetually disappear in boudoir photographer status, perpetually invisible to approximately 80% of buyers. So you're liking all those benefits, and you want to achieve page 1 visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility, because you need to achieve these things on your path to becoming the #1 boudoir photographer in your city. And you're also thinking more ahead of AI stuff, and you're understanding that SQ methodology is actually creating kind of these invisible thematic keyword columns connected to your brand, kind of out of cyberspace, kind of invisible out there. Like columns of the Parthenon, or hub and spoke model of a bike tire, or your business, your brand, your website name. That's all kind of the hub where all the spokes meet. All these invisible thematic keyword columns are the spokes sticking out. And this actually, you understand that this is actually building AI mindshare in the back end. And when we build this up every single day, successfully executing SQ methodology, we're actually increasing the probability that we get shown up right here, AI overview, super premium slot. We cannot even buy this with advertising. So it's organic from Google. This is probably better than any ad out there, honestly. It's kind of like it's like a super stamp of approval from Google. And you're seeing kind of every time executing SQ methodology, we're adding to the invisible thematic keyword column we're focusing on, or building a new one, kind of building up this back-end AI brain space momentum. And you're liking that for the AI overview. And also you understand that this will happen for the AI search apps. So ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini. Every day we successfully execute SQ methodology, we're increasing the probability these AI search queries surface us. And guess what? We are, Google is still approximately 90% of global search, but dude, AI search is growing every single day, literally every single day, as people ditch standard search more and more. And last time I did a boudoir search for boudoir photographers in a city, ChatGPT, dude, it brought up 3, literally 3. But I went, Google, Facebook searching, and I manually for how many boudoir photographers are actually in this city. Dude, it was like 60. So I'm like, dude, we gotta get at least one of these 3 slots by any means possible. And now we've learned, okay, SQ methodology is the way to achieve that. And you're also seeing my current plan is to only work with one boudoir photographer per city. So you're seeing, man, signing on, work with me on this. You are actually excluding all your other boudoir photographer competitors from using this strategy for as long as you keep using it with me. And so you like the sound of that, you can kick off your competitors, relegate them to, disappear boudoir photographer status on Google page 2 or deeper, essentially have a strong case to prevent any peeps that have lost their job to AI from ever being seen on page 1 on Google. Like the aspect of building brand approximately 8x faster. So then, then kind of everyone else is done, because we're showing up on so many surfaces all at once and continuously doing it. And you actually want to be able to have super well-known brands and continue using SQ methodology as like the ultimate superpower. And on the flip side of the converse, you're seeing one of your boudoir photographer competitors signs on with me first, then we're actually getting all those benefits for them and not for you. And then page 1 on Google, kicking you off, page 2 or deeper, you're effectively becoming invisible to approximately 80% of buyers in your city that are page 1 searchers only. And, you're losing those slots, getting forgotten about. And also we're building up this AI mindshare momentum on the back end for the AI overview and recommendation for AI searches. So in order for you to compete, you'd have to A, rederive SQ methodology, or actually derive it in the first place for yourself. B, you'd have to successfully execute it equivalent to us every single day. But if you did that, you'd simply maintain the gap that we've already built ahead of you and honestly make no forward progress. So you'd actually have to outwork us 2 to 3x every single day to regain momentum on us, pull that AI mindshare towards us, towards you, away from you and your competitor. Kind of be for us to be recommended for AI search or AI overview and AI search apps. And you probably would not feel 100% confident putting that much effort, because you would never know if you've even derived SQ methodology correctly in the first place. So then you'd be like, why even put effort into it? And also that'd probably be like 80 hours per day. So you're seeing all that and you're like, screw that. I've decided to be the first mover in the city. I've decided to hop on SQ methodology first out of all of my peeps. And so if that's you, shoot me a DM when my DM's open for new patient intake. The hospital is currently closed, but when we do open the hospital for new patient intake, shoot us a DM and we will see if you qualify for using our S cubed methodology.